Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Valagar Aloevain. Alright, so I'm sure you guessed by the title of this video, we're not doing our typical questing here. I did plan on always doing a crafting video, though I wanted to do it a little bit later in the character's life. But I thought now would be a great time. The release of Feywild was extended one additional day, as we've already gone through and completed all the level 12 or all the level 10 quests, so 12 on Elite. Um, Before taking level, I wanted to, do the Feywild. As it was released one additional day, we needed one additional video, and I thought now would just be a great time to bring this here for you guys. So, first and most important thing that you need for Cannith crafting. Alright, so while you're doing these quests, you will find Cannith essences. Once the bag decides to open. Which are these blue little orbs. I've got one additional one here. Now, once you have those, you will also need a whole bunch of collectibles. So these are all those like mushrooms or bookshelves and stuff that you can click on. There's a whole list of them. So as you see, 6 different tiers of them, and each tier is based on level range. So the higher level quests are going to give higher tiers. And then of course they have common, uncommon, and rare materials for each tier. And that just comes down to which ones you're looting specifically for what materials you're going to get. Now, once you have both the collectibles and the essences, you need to go down to a Cannith crafting hall. Now there are 3 halls that are fairly easily accessible. One is in House Cannith, one is in House Kundarak, and the third, if you happen to have, would be on your airship. So in the crafting halls, there will be a bunch of devices. Essentially, there are 3 different device types. There's the item deconstruction. There's the crafting of the shards, so you have both unbound and bound. And then the actual crafting of the item itself, so unbound or bound. Now the difference between the unbound and the bound is the bound, it takes a lower crafting level to craft the same item. So I'm just for an example, Constitution for a bound shard, it says right here, Cannith level 100. For an unbound Constitution shard, it is level 250. So that is a big difference there. So if you are doing crafting, it will allow you to craft for your character at a higher level than you would be able to craft for, say, a friend. Obviously, once you get up to maximum level, it wouldn't matter one way or the other. Now, in order to actually craft, you know what? Let's make an item here. It'll be easier to show you guys while I'm doing it. So you choose your armor type here. Most crafting halls, in fact all of them, will have an auctioneer in them. So we're just going to pick a weapon. We'll pick a simple weapon and just use a club. So it doesn't really matter which weapon you choose. Just find a cheap one here. And then we'll buy it out. So certain weapons, like this one here, as it shows Cannith crafting minimum level slot, that means it's already been queued up to be ready to craft. Now, certain items, such as this specific scepter here, they can have augment slots in them. So if you find a weapon or item or whatever that already has an augment slot in it, when you queue it up for crafting, it will retain that augment slot. Yeah, not really seeing any right away. Alright, so let's... yeah. Right, there we go. Let's put it over here. It'll be easier to see. Alright, so the first step in crafting an item is you need to come to the item deconstruction machine. Now, when you select this machine, you can click on the Q, or no, you can't, sorry. So when you select the machine itself, what you want to do is you want to drag your item, and I want to see if I have any others. No. Alright, so you want to drag your item into the ingredients list. Now here it will give you two options. The first option, this gets it ready to be crafted. So it'll remove all the effects on it. So in this case it will remove the glaciation, the spellcast implement, it'll even remove that +1 enhancement bonus, and get it ready to be crafted here. So there it is, no effects. The other option, let's quickly run and grab another item. I was totally unprepared for this video. Alright, so the other option is actually just another way to receive Cannith essences. So you get the dissolve shard, you dissolve it, and it gives you a few left. Now the amount you get back is based on the item itself and the effects on the weapon. The other thing to point out is while you were deconstructing, it did require not only the weapon, but another effect here. So if we go back, put that in. So here it requires a dust of disjunction. The other one had a little red icon there. You can purchase them from the craftsperson and vendor. So it'll vary depending on which location you go to, but there will be this person here. Again, not necessarily this specific person, but they'll have some sort of crafts and vendor. And you would just select to purchase the deconstruction materials. Here they have your dissolvers and your disjunction shards. So the dissolver will break down the item completely, giving you essences, and the disjunction shards will get it ready for crafting. Alright, so now that we have the weapon ready for crafting, we have to figure out what we want on it. Now, the way that I do this is I actually jump right to the items machine, and I select this one. So you can actually drag your weapon into there, and it'll show you. Right now it's only showing us the minimum levels that we can add to this weapon. So that is our first step. So we'll come back to the bound shards, and we select what weapon what level we want. So I can write level 12, because that's what level we are, and we'll craft that. Now the shard itself, if you happen to have, will go into a green green ingredients bag. So here it is. And then we can go to the machine. So we're gonna go this, and we selected level 12. So let's apply that level 12. Now the weapon is a level 12 club here. So it jumps it up to the +4 enhancement, as well as it gives us 3 slots. Sometimes your weapon may only have 2 slots. That is dependent on the level of the item itself. Alright, so from here, it then tells us what actual effects that we can put on, and where it goes, whether it's the prefix or the suffix. As well, we can also add an extra slot because of the level of our item. So again, we just want to select these, which one you happen to have. I have a lot of the top one here, not the second one. And it will add an extra slot. Now, the location where you get those for the extra slot, once you have enough Cannith favor, it will open up a vendor located in House Cannith, the favor vendor, which I will get to in another video, and I'll go through and show where all the favor vendors are and what their rewards are. But you would be able to then purchase that specific item from that Cannith vendor to allow you to get those extra slots. Alright, so now that we're here, we do see all three types. So this is an extra, so that will go in the extra slot. This is a suffix, that will go in the suffix slot, and prefix, of course, in the prefix slot. So now we got to try and figure out what specifically we want to put on this weapon. So it does let us pick one of each. So you can go through and figure out what you're wanting. Just for the sake of it, I'm going to say we want deadly on it. So again, we're going to go over here. Search up the item. Now, just searching up dead, obviously it brings up a few different recipes, but here's our deadly shard. So we can craft that there. Again, heading back over to our machine, placing our item. Search for the effect you want and put that in there. Once that's done, we can clear the search bar and it'll show us what effects are left. So now, because we've added deadly, which was a suffix slot, it only has extra and prefix left. That is all it will show you in the list here. So as you add an effect, it will then remove that type of effect. So you're not having that much more of a giant list to scroll through. So then we have, say, strength damaging, and so on and so forth. So we can go pick Seeker of Deadly. So get that Seeker shard, place that on here again. So now the weapon is a +6 Seeker, +5 Deadly. It has a +4 enhancement mod, and then finally it has that extra slot still available. So just as before, it now removed that prefix slot. So all it's showing us is our extra slots, what can go in that spot. And yeah, crafting itself is fairly simple. Again, I recommend once you get your item ready for crafting at the item deconstruction table, you then craft what minimum level you want the weapon to be. From there, move over to the bound items and just place the item, the weapon, whatever item, like whatever piece of gear that you're wanting to craft inside this bound items, and just scroll through the list. Find an effect that you like, craft that one effect, then put it on. Now, another thing to point out is if you hover over top of, like, for example, the Insightful Vertigo, if we hover over top of the sword here, it will tell you what it has to go on. So it has to be a main hand weapon or an offhand weapon or shield. The item must not have a following trait of ranged, so it cannot be a ranged weapon. And other ones will have other various effects, so like for example, strength damaging. There is no ranged component to this, so it just, as long as it's a main hand or an offhand weapon, that shard can go on that item. So really just go through and pick which ones. It's a little bit harder for the armor types, As well, if you've got the full list, you can always browse through. There are, as you see, 30 pages, so there's a whole heck of a lot of effects. And again, if you hover over top of the effect on the sword, it will state what type. So this one here specifically, the insightful poison resistance, will go on a cloak and only on a cloak. And just essentially find which type of weapon you want. Again, it's easiest if you pick the weapon or piece of gear you want first, select its minimum level, and then select the items crafting. It's the same when you're doing the Unbound. The only difference is it does require higher levels to craft the same types of shards, as well as it also requires more materials. That is pretty much the main bit of Cannith crafting. Now, some tips for leveling the crafting itself is actually to craft the minimum level shards. So right now I'm getting 0 experience for crafting these just due to the level of my crafting. So while you're looking at the sheet here, I'm going to jump over so I can actually show you some of these. Let's jump to XP. So on the shards here, it will tell you Cannith level 425. So that is the level which you need to be to guarantee a craft. So you can be a few levels lower than that, and then it will start giving you a percentage, which is shown right next to it here. So for this specific shard, I have a 16% chance to make sure that it doesn't fail. If it fails, it means I use partial amounts of these materials, but I don't actually get anything out of it. Now, even fails, you do get partial crafting experience, which is shown underneath. So here for this shard specifically, I would get 2,549 crafting experience. So my recommendation for leveling is to collect a whole lot of the Cannith essences. Now again, you can do these by completing quests. They're in almost every chest in small amounts. As well, you can keep all the normal items that you would be picking up. So I'll just pick up another one here, just to show. So I'll grab a low level, and then we'll grab a high level one. So we're going to go 1 to 10. Bio. And just to make sure it goes in the second bag, we'll do that. And then we're going to grab a 26 to 30. So one thing it doesn't tell you is when you are deconstructing these items. So we're going to start with the low level one. We're going to place that destruction here so that it actually breaks it down. One, it will give you a small amount of crafting experience as well as some essences. Now if you watch the money I have, so I'm at 532,168. When you do dissolve, you actually do get partial amount back. So I got about 600 gold for that. So, or sorry, 600 platinum. So I didn't get the full base value, but I did get a little bit of a cash back. So if you're worried about, trying to get money if you're early game, while you're deconstructing, you still get money back from deconstructing these items. As well, you also earn small amounts of crafting experience. As well, it gives you those Cannith essences, which are so required for making these crafts. So once you're doing that, as I said, I recommend crafting these minimum level shards. simply because they only require Cannith essences. They don't require any other types of material, and no other, you know, crafting component. It is simply just the essences. Once you've crafted one of these here, so we'll just craft another minimum level 1. Again, the reason it said 0 experience is simply just due to my level. The other thing you can, once you craft these shards, you can actually go ahead and break them down for, again, partial material back. So we got 1 Cannith essence back. We had spent 10 to get it, but again, deconstructing the item will reward a little bit of experience, and again, partial material back. So that is another tip to help you continue crafting a little bit longer, would be to break down, once you craft all those shards, just break them down. As it does take a lot of shards to actually get that crafting level way up there. Sets that there. Another tip, now these could be purchased at the Cannith vendor, like the Cannith favor vendor, at a rate of, a small rate, I think it's only 5% booster. But you can purchase the crafting succession boosters. Now you can do this from the DDO store, as well, again, at the Cannith vendor, for the Cannith favor vendor. You would be able to purchase them there. Now these will add that percentage to the craft itself. So for example, I am going to craft, let's jump up here, 425. So for this one here, for example, it says 16%. These boosters add 35, so I place that in the succession booster, and then it tells me my new percentage with the bonus added on. So this is, again, a great way to increase your chance on these hard to do crafts, allowing you to get more experience faster. So if I was to try and craft this item here, I have a 51% chance. So here I had failed, so it did use a little bit of my materials as well as the crafting succession. Try one more time. There we go, I was able to successfully craft it, and it even leveled me up there. So as I don't actually need this specific shard, I'm gonna turn around and then deconstruct it, again for partial materials back. Now as it is a higher level craft, it did give me 43 essences back. So again, higher shards, higher items, more Cannith essences per craft. So it's a fairly, for the most part, a fairly simple system. It's item deconstruction to either break down the item for essences or get it ready to be crafted. You've got the bound shards where you actually create the effects to go on the piece of gear. And then the bound items or unbound items station to actually put the effect onto the item itself. Now, that's pretty much it. So, yeah, again, tip, just save up those essences. I personally, my best time to do it is I like to purchase a crafting experience elixir from the store, so you can get these. It just, again, it's like a normal experience potion, but queued for just your Cannith crafting. Now you could purchase small ones from the again from House Cannith with some of the challenges. You can get some of the 5% ones there, or you can again purchase larger ones from the DDO store. This will obviously just give you that much more experience, make it go faster. And then what I do is I'll save up all my Cannith essences, and I'll wait for one of the weekly bonuses where it's giving you more crafting experience. And then, so it's, say, for example, 50% boost to all Cannith crafting, so you already get a 50% XP boost. Then you use a potion for another 50%. Like, it just adds up. And then, of course, you do the same craft that you would have normally been doing, but you get so much more experience, and that'll really help to boost those levels really, really quickly. Anyway, guys, I'm sure you've had enough of me rambling on. I hope this video was informative, that you'll be able to get into Cannith crafting. I know I quite enjoy it. There's a lot of really, really cool effects that you can put on, and actually some really powerful ones. Before I go, I can actually show you, see if I can't find one quickly here. So I like to craft them at specific levels. For example, level 15 is one that I like to use. That way, if I do create like an iconic or something like that, that I already have my leveled up gear for them. So this one here is an example. It has level 15. It has plus 8 to my intelligence, an additional 3, giving it a total of 11 intelligence on that one item. And then it has like a spot. I also have an empty colorless on there just because it happened to have that when I was crafting it. You could do the same for health. So it would be 8 constitution, insightful 3 constitution, then one other effect there for you. For example, I put spell resistance on there, mine. So an insightful spell resistance, like, it's just a very handy thing to have. And you can make some really powerful effects. And of course, they're effects of your choosing. So that's always a plus. But again, anyway, guys, I hope you guys found this video at least a bit informative, even if it's not a whole lot. I know I rambled on a little bit. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one all.